guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Ocean One. I'm sure most of you are regular viewers. I'm just sitting down here in the basement doing my YouTube video, drinking a late one, an ale 8 or a late one as we like to call them in Kentucky. But anyway, the purpose of this video is I actually had a friend reach out to me and ask me to do a particular segment, and I told him I would look at it and then decide. And I do take requests, so if anybody has a particular interest in the ocean or anything along, Fisker the company, you can ask me to do that and I'll definitely consider it. But anyway, he asked me to do a comparison between Marques Brownlee and Doug DeMuro. And I hope I'm saying Doug's name right because I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Because those two have both driven the ocean. They have both reviewed the ocean. And in my opinion, Doug is a far more professional automotive reviewer because he's been doing it for, quite a long time. Whereas Marques Brownlee is known mostly for reviewing, tech devices, okay? But they both came up with very different reviews. Doug loved the ocean. Very much enjoyed the way that it drives. Said it was a much better alternative, than many EVs that are out there. Whereas Marques Brownlee said, that it was the worst vehicle that he had ever reviewed. So, how do we reconcile these two in the automotive world, in the journalist world? How do we reconcile those two opinions? So I'm going to walk you through a piece that was done by Inside EVs. And Inside EVs actually did an article over a review that I did myself, my 4,000 mile review. So, I guess full circle here is, is things like that go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take little screenshots and I'm going to put the article's words up on the screen. I'm going to read those and go through those. And then when I'm done, I'm going to wrap it up with my final thoughts. So I hope you enjoy this and I hope you appreciate it. Check out this title, as opposed to Marques Brown saying this is the worst car I've ever reviewed. Doug DeMuro praises the Fisker Ocean, addresses MK's review. Doug says the Ocean is better looking than the Chevy Blazer and the Honda Prologue, DeMuro said while addressing the Fisker glitches. So when Doug actually drove the Fisker Ocean, and he did, and I watched that review, he really enjoyed the way that the Fisker Ocean drove, and so do most owners. One of the glaring moments in the company's downward spiral occurred after tech YouTuber Marques Brownlee said that the Fisker Ocean was the worst car he has ever reviewed. Fisker stock nosedived 50% after that review dropped and generated an internet storm. 5 million people have viewed that video since it came out about a month ago. Some said the review wasn't fair since Brownlee reviewed a car that was due for a software update to iron out some of the problems he faced. Others said it was completely fair. Now, personally, I've done videos to refute that review because I do think he was being very unfair because his software was 2 full software versions behind. So I don't think that was very fair to Fisker at all. On the other hand, Doug DeMuro, a popular name in the automotive review space with nearly 5 million YouTube subscribers, praised the Fisker Ocean during a podcast last week. DeMuro said that he liked the Ocean despite the unit he received having several glitches. He indicated that he would rather pick the Ocean instead of the Chevy Blazer and the Honda Prologue. I think the Ocean is better looking than the Blazer and Prologue, and it's well equipped with some interesting and exciting new tech. DeMuro said in an email interview with Inside EVs, frankly, the Blazer and Prologue aren't especially exciting, which is showing in the lack of hype around them. So then the author goes on to say, inconsistency is a common among early production models made by upstarts. Early Teslas had wide-ranging quality issues, and so did the early Rivian models. Even experienced legacy automakers aren't immune to these issues faced by EVs. A Blazer EV bricked while charging during an Inside EV road trip, with our man Kevin Williams having to rescue himself in a rental Nissan Titan. So it seems like every automaker, struggles with its first batch of cars. DeMuro alluded to this. There are often some sort of electronic glitches in early production EVs, something that doesn't work quite right that the automaker begs off by calling it pre-production, but you kind of know that they're still working on it. DeMuro said, I've seen it with basically all the startup EV manufacturers, including Tesla. I asked DeMuro, who doesn't own stock in any automaker, what he thought of MK's review. It was reasonably fair. I do think he took a more tech-focused approach to the SUV, though. Okay, I messed up that last sentence and I'm going to fix it. I do think he takes a more tech-focused approach to car reviewing, and so he's more focused on the usability of the technology than many reviewers. And so a car that's glitchy will get very low marks from him, he said. And I think that's kind of the problem because most people that drive the Ocean love how it drives. Even Doug loved how the Ocean drives. It drives great. So that's understandable. So when we take these two individuals, Marques Brownlee, and we take Doug DeMuro, I hope I'm not butchering his name because I don't know how to say his last name exactly right. How do we reconcile these two? Well, first, I think if you look at Doug, which is, probably a much more experienced automotive reviewer than Marques Brownlee, you look at that he's focusing on the driving aspect of the car. And most people that own an Ocean, like myself, we truly enjoy the way that the Ocean drives. It's super quiet, super smooth, extremely powerful. And if you go back and you listen to all of the positive things that Marques Brownlee actually had to say about the Ocean, he had far more positive things to say about the Ocean than he did negative things. But then you get to the tech side of it, and, he had a few errors, he had a few glitches. His backup camera didn't come on, a couple times and things like that. But he was also reviewing an Ocean that was 2 full software updates behind. 2, not 1. And I know that because when I watched his video, he didn't have trips. And since he didn't have trips, that meant that it was automatically a software version behind my own. And I have 1.11. And since I have 1.11, I have trips. He did not have trips. So the next software version is 2.0. So that made Marques Brownlee's Ocean 2 full software updates behind. So I think both of these reviewers are taking different approaches. Doug takes the driver aspect approach, and thinking, all companies have little issues at the beginning. And, we expect through software updates, which you normally don't get with OEM legacy players. You don't get that. Whatever the car is, it is what it is. But with EVs, particularly the ones that have good OTA updates, those issues can be resolved through OTAs, over-the-air updates. So Marques seems to have taken the approach, since the tech was lacking, in his opinion, but again, it was 2 software updates behind, he felt like the car was the worst car that he had ever reviewed from a tech perspective. Doug, on the other hand, was looking at it, okay, yeah, the tech's okay, and I expect it to get better. It does have a few glitches, but I love the way that it drives. I love the way that it looks. It puts the Honda Prologue to shame. It puts the EV Blazer to shame. And most people easily argue that I've talked to, it puts the Tesla to shame in looks. Now, does it have Tesla tech yet? No. But if they survive and they stay in business, would they have Tesla tech, in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years? Yeah, I think they would eventually get there, especially with the 4D radar. Once that gets active, and all that gets implemented. But at the end of the day, what we need right now is for Fisker to simply survive. Because if Fisker does not survive, then, whatever updates we have at the moment, and I'm still waiting on 2.0. I've talked about that in my other videos. I got the prompt, but I accidentally messed it up. So I'm waiting for 2.0 myself. But, finishing the video here, we need Fisker to survive, to get better. The bones of the Fisker is great. The DNA is great. The software, yeah, it's a little hiccupy occasionally. But most drivers, were like, oh yeah, no big deal, okay. You get a warning, all right, it goes away very rapidly. Oh, a camera didn't come on, okay, soft reset, press the home button, you know, we're fixed. We kind of expected stuff like that until the software is much more mature. You know, you have to look at this with an open mind. When the Ocean was sent out, you know, one could argue that it was sent out too early, and maybe it was, but it was on, you know, 1.0, we could just say base 1 software. And, you know, there's been several updates since then, and now we're moving into 2.0. So, you know, as Ocean One owners, I think most of us want to see, you know, 2.0 succeed, 3.0 become a reality, 4.0, you know, and whatever else is out there, you know, 5.0, 6.0, 7.0. You know, we as Ocean One owners, we just want the brand to continue. And it does seem that there was tremendous interest in purchasing the Ocean over the weekend, you know, with the fire sale going on, or maybe I should say Friday. Was it Friday? I'm not sure. I think it was Friday. You know, with the Oceans being severely discounted. I have talked to several people that reached out to Fisker, you know, to start the process in purchasing a Fisker Ocean. So drop me some comments in the bottom below. You know, what do you think? One YouTuber, which is probably more of a professional YouTuber in the sense of being an automotive reviewer, Doug, really liked the Ocean. And Marquez Brownlee did not. And we have to reconcile those two because both of those are opinions. And my opinion is that the Fisker Ocean is very, very good. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. And thanks for your time. I appreciate the support on my channel. And until next time.